Hello everyone, welcome to Danti and Atta's channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we'd like to talk about English Proficiency Test, and what we are trying to explain are three of the internationally recognized English Proficiency Tests, namely TOEFL, IELTS, and TOEIC. We'll also talk about the aspect of those proficiency tests in the teaching and learning process. So hopefully both of us can deliver the lesson in the best possible way, and we also hope that all of you can get a clear picture about the lesson after watching this video. So without further ado, let's get started. And the first topic will be explained by my friend Atta.
Okay, thank you Mbak Danti for the opportunity. Now let's discuss about what the TOEFL is. TOEFL stands for Test of English as Foreign Language. It is a standardized test to measure learners' level of English that is usually taken by speakers of other language. TOEFL is usually used for several purposes such as study, work, and immigration. This test is available in two formats, one that is delivered via internet and one that is a paper-based test. Now let's take a look at this history of TOEFL. So TOEFL was first developed by the National Council on the Test of English as a Foreign Language in 1962 for the purpose of creating an English language assessment for international students who wish to study at university in the United States. When it was first published in 1964, TOEFL included reading comprehension, vocabulary, listening comprehension, English structure and grammar, entirely with multiple choice question in paper-based test or PBT. In 1965, administration of the TOEFL was taken over by Educational Testing Service or ETS and the College Board because of the drawback that is originally version had. Test of Spoken English was added to the text in 1980, followed by Test of Written English in 1986. As previously used a paper and pencil in 1998, ETS began offering a computerized version of TOEFL, but it was discontinued in 2006. The TOEFL IBT was introduced. Internet-based test, or IBT, was created which emphasized on communication and comprehension in spoken and written. Both the IBT and paper-based test are still used until now, but the paper-based test is available only in selected locations like Indonesia. Okay, here is the format of the IBT TOEFL. So IBT TOEFL covers 4 sections. There are reading, listening, speaking, and also writing section. And I will explain it one by one. So the first one is about reading section. Reading section is intended to assess how well you can read and understand that kind of material in academic environment. The types of questions are reading factual and negative factual information, interference and rhetorical, reading summary, sentence simplification, insert text, prose summary, and also extra question. The next one is about listening section. So, listening section is designed to measure your ability to understand conversation and lectures in English. The types of questions are quiz content, detail, function, attitude, organization, connecting content, interference, and also extra question. The next one is about speaking section. Speaking section is designed to measure your ability to speak English effectively in academic setting. It is composed of 4 tasks that resemble real-life situations you might encounter both in and outside the classroom. Okay, next is about writing section. So, writing section is developed to measure your ability to write in English in an academic setting, and you're expected to be able to present your idea in a clear, well-organized manner. So, the types of writing text are integrated writing text and also independent writing text. Okay, for those test takers who don't have access to the TOEFL PBT test, there's a revised TOEFL paper delivered test. This test is offered only in location where testing via the internet is not available. It is designed to align closely with the PBT test. but there's no speaking section because of the technological requirement of capturing spoken response. This kind of test is offered 4 times during each testing year. Next, we will see the difference between earlier TOEFL PBT and the revised one based on the structure. Earlier TOEFL PBT has 4 sections, including listening, structure and written expression, reading, and test of written English, while the latter has only 3 sections, namely listening, reading, and also writing. Okay, and here's the TOEFL test score about the ABT and the paper delivered. For the ABT, each section has a score range of 0 to 30. They are added together for a total score of 0 to 120. But for the revised paper delivered, each section has a score range of 0 to 30 for each section with no speaking section. That's all about TOEFL that I can deliver. Now, for the next section will be delivered by my partner, Mbak Danti.
Okay, thank you so much, Atta. And let's move on to the next step of English proficiency test, which is IELTS. So just like TOEFL, IELTS is considered as a standardized English test that can be used for certain occasions. And according to IELTS.org, IELTS is the high-stakes English test for international study, migration, and work. And the goal of the IELTS, according to CambridgeEnglish.org, is to test the language ability of people who want to study or work in a place where English is used as the language of communication. And the current IELTS is the product of such a long process. So let's review the history of the IELTS. The first major standardized test for international students intending to study at the universities in the UK was the English Proficiency Test Battery, or EPTB, which was first developed by the British Council and the University of Birmingham in 1963, and it was first taken in 1965. And the focus was only on reading and listening skill with a set of 3 subtests, namely listening comprehension, reading comprehension, and reading speed. So there was the drawback, which were no productive skills included. So during 1970s, researchers made the efforts to promote more practical and relevant elements to the test, which result in a product, namely English Language Testing Service, or ELTS. It consists of a set of 6 modules, so 5 of which were subject-specific, namely life sciences, social studies, physical sciences, technology, and medicine. And the last, or the 6th module, was a general academic assessment. During 1980 to 1985, the number of the test taker did not increase significantly because of some problems like the logistical problems, and the development also lacked international input. Then, the International English Language Testing System, or we can call it IELTS, was first administered to students in 1989. And the creators and administrators were the British Council, Cambridge English Language Assessment, and the International Development Programme, or IDP, of the Australian universities and colleges. So actually, IDP made contribution to the development of the test through international perspective. At that time, the IELTS had 4 sections, namely reading, writing, speaking, and also listening. So IELTS had 2 versions, namely academic and general training, and the number of the sections and the versions remain the same until today. And speaking and listening modules were general, and there was only 1 version of the 2 sections. The reading and writing modules were available in 3 versions, namely science and technology, life science, and also social science. And the number of the test takers who made a significant increase, which quickly surpassed those who took the ELTS or the previous one. And let's take a look at several revisions to the IELTS. In 1995, the elimination of the field-specific writing and reading modules were made, and it resulted in the assimilation into a single module for each. And during this year, the idea to allow students to take the speaking test on different days was also introduced. This means that the test takers can do all the sections either on the same day or on different day. And then in 2001, the speaking section was integrated into the IELTS speaking paper, and the assessment of the writing section was updated in 2005 to include 4 areas of evaluation. In 2005, the first computerized IELTS was offered, and the IELTS Life Skill Test was administered in 2015, which focused on assessing English speaking and listening skills. And recently, in 2020, small changes were introduced to the instructions and also the layout of the paper-based listening test. And today, the IELTS is available at over 1,100 test centers in over 80 countries, or in over 140 countries. So let's move on to the format of the IELTS, and this one is the listening section. The listening section will last for approximately 30 minutes, and it consists of 4 recordings of native speakers, and the recordings are a conversation between 2 people set in an everyday social context, followed by a monologue set in an everyday social context, a conversation between up to 4 people set in an educational or training context, and also a monologue on an academic subject. The types of the listening tasks are varied. For example, it can include multiple choice, matching, plan map, diagram labeling, form note table flowchart, summary completion, sentence completion, and also short answer question. For the speaking section, it takes approximately 11 to 40 minutes to complete the speaking test. This section is divided into 3 parts. The first part is introduction and interview, where you will be asked about yourself and a range of familiar topics through general questions. This will last for 4 up to 5 minutes, and the second part is long turn, where you will be given a particular topic based on the chosen card, and you will have 1 minute to prepare and also 2 minutes for giving the response. And there will be 1 or 2 follow-up questions from the examiner after you give your response. And the last part is discussion, consisting of the questions about the topic in the second part. So this part will last for approximately 4 to 5 minutes. And the next section is the reading section. In this part, you will be given approximately 16 minutes to complete 40 questions for both academic and general training. And the task type for both versions of the IELTS in this section are a variety of question types. For example, it can be multiple choice, identifying information, identifying the writer's view or claims, matching information, matching headings, matching features, matching sentence endings, sentence completion, summary completion, note completion, table completion, flowchart completion, diagram labeling completion, and also short answer questions. Academic reading includes 3 long texts, which range from the descriptive and factual to the discursive and analytical. And the texts are taken from books, journals, magazines, and newspapers. In general training reading has 3 sections, which are social survival, which contains texts relevant to basic linguistic survival in English. And the second one is workplace survival, focuses on the workplace context. And the last one is general reading, which involves reading more extended prose with a more complex structure. The passages are taken from books, magazines, newspapers, notices, advertisements, company handbooks, and guidelines. And the next one is the writing section. So in the section of the IELTS, it has 2 tasks to complete, both for academic and general training, that can be done in 60 minutes. In IELTS Academic, the first task will ask you to describe, summarize, or even explain the information of a graph, table, chart, or diagram using your own words. And the second task is to write an essay in response to a point of view, argument, or problem. And responses to both tasks must be in a formal style. In IELTS general training, the first step is to write a letter requesting information or explaining based on the given instruction. And the letter must be personal, semi-formal, or formal in style. And the second task is to write an essay in response to a point of view, argument, or problem. And this essay can be fairly personal in style. Next one, let's take a look at the IELTS skills. So this table presents the IELTS skills. It consists of the band score, skill level, and also the description. On the IELTS test report form, you will find the overall band score and the result you achieved in each part of the test. The overall band score are calculated by taking the mean result for each part of the test. And the overall band scores are calculated to the nearest whole or half band. If the average score across the 4 skills ends in 0.25, it is rounded up to the next half band. If it ends in 0.75, it is rounded up to the next whole band. So it's all about the IELTS that I can explain. And now let's move on to the third type of the English Proficiency Test. And it is going to be presented by Atta again. So Atta, you may start your presentation right now.
Okay, thank you Mbak Dadi for the opportunity. Now I'd like to explain about the definition of TOEIC. So what is TOEIC? TOEIC, or Test of English for International Communication, is an English proficiency test for non-native speakers which measure the everyday English skills of people working in an international environment. And TOEIC can also be required as part of a student's academic journey by an employer for recruitment process or as a part of career of a future employee. Okay, now let's take a look at this slide about the history of TOEIC. Well, the TOEIC was first introduced by the Educational Testing Service, or ETS, in the late 1970s. The company created the test to evaluate English language proficiency within a business environment. The idea was developed by Yasuo Kitaoka to be used in Japan. Kitaoka and Watanabe created the TOEIC steering committee, which eventually secured government support. The first TOEIC was developed in 1977. By 1979, students had begun to complete the TOEIC test paper. Now, TOEIC has been used for more than 40 years with nearly 5 million test takers per year. Okay, now what about the format of the TOEIC? So, the TOEIC listening and reading test is a paper and pencil multiple choice assessment. There are 2 time sections of 100 questions each. And here is the details of the format of TOEIC. Now, we move to the listening section. In the listening section, there are 4 parts, namely photographs, question response, conversation, and also short talks. The next one is about reading section. So in this reading section, there are 3 parts. It is incomplete sentences, error recognition or text completion, and also reading comprehension. And this is the redesigned TOEIC. You can see in the slide. And the next one is about TOEIC listening and reading test score. So, Educational Testing Service or ETS, its test form will be reused multiple times in different areas of the world. The TOEIC program has a policy not to release test forms for security reasons, and conversion table that is unique to test form is not released either. And the TOEIC scale score range is from 5 to 495 for the listening and reading test respectively. And this is the format of TOEIC and speaking section. There are read and text a lot, describe a picture, respond to question using information provided, propose a solution, and also express an opinion. This is about the writing section. Basically, there are 3 task types. The first one is about write a sentence based on the picture, to respond to a written request, and also write an opinion essay. This is the TOEIC speaking and writing test score. Okay, so the difference between IELTS and also TOEFL will be delivered by Mbak Danti.
Alright, thank you, Atta. And so far, we have learned 3 types of English proficiency tests. And as internet-based test, TOEFL and IELTS includes 4 skills in one exam, unlike that of the TOEIC. So let's explore what differs these 2 types of English proficiency tests. The first one, take a look at the availability and acceptance. TOEFL was created by the American Evaluation Testing Service, or ETS, whereas IELTS was created by the cooperation of the University of Cambridge and the British Council. So to put it simply, one is British and the other one is American, but both are internationally recognized English proficiency tests. And when we talk about the types and versions, TOEFL has 2 versions, namely TOEFL IBT and TOEFL Paper Delivered Test or PBT, although PBT is not available in all countries. On the other hand, IELTS also has 2 versions. The first one is paper-based test that is widely used in all over the world, and the second one is the computer or online-based that is available in some test centers. Although IELTS has an online version, but the speaking section in the online versions will still be conducted through an interview with the human examiner, unlike that of TOEFL, in which one must speak to the computer. And there are 2 types of IELTS, namely academic and general training, while TOEFL has only 1 type. And when we talk about the timing, it takes approximately 3 hours to complete the IELTS, and there is no actual fail or pass at the end, as each test is graded overall for each section. The final band is tallied, and this banding decides one's proficiency level, and it is what they use for those who wish to apply for a visa in an English-speaking countries, and mainly used in the UK, Australia, and Canada. And for the TOEFL, you will need approximately 4 hours to complete the exam with a 10-minute break between listening and speaking. And unlike the IELTS, TOEFL has a final score marked in points, and the highest point is 120. And TOEFL is mostly used by those who wish to apply for a visa in North American countries such as the USA. Looking at the structure order, the TOEFL begins with reading section, followed by listening, speaking, and writing. This means that TOEFL can be done in only one sitting, whereas in the IELTS, the order may be different for each test takers. For example, it's because in the speaking test itself can be taken on the same day or the day after having the listening, reading, and writing. So, meaning that you can take the speaking test on the same day when you can go with the listening, reading, and writing, or you can take it on different day, before or after. So IELTS includes 4 standalone skills, which mean that it focuses only one skill in each type of the test, while the TOEFL includes integrated writing and also integrated speaking section, in which it requires the test taker to write and also to respond to the reading passage and spoken lecture excerpt or the recorded conversations. When we talk about the writing section, the test takers of IELTS fill in the same format in paper-based tests at the same time, so they tend to be quiet compared to the ones taking the TOEFL test. Why? It is because in TOEFL, each test taker takes a different test format. One person may start the listening section when the other students start the speaking section. Like, the noises can also come from the other students who adjust the headphones or testing their microphone. And there are also more time and less words in the IELTS writing section, whereas in TOEFL, there are more words to write and less time to complete the section. So those are the differences between TOEFL and IELTS. If you plan to take the proficiency test, either TOEFL or IELTS, please consider your needs in the first hand. You may visit the websites which offer this test to have a clearer information about the test. And the next thing that we're going to discuss is the washback of those proficiency tests in the teaching and learning process in EFL context. And Atta, it's your turn to explain again about the lessons.
Well, okay, we've talked a lot about proficiency tests such as TOEFL, IELTS, and also TOEIC. Now, let's think about how plausible is the proficiency test utilized for learning EFL. To pass the proficiency test, is it enough to just studying in the classroom? Well, to be proficient in English, students need more than just studying the test, and teacher also need more than just teaching the test. Although it's good for student and teacher to devote the class time for proficiency test preparation and to strategize it to pass and achieve high scores, since it will help the students to be familiar with the test, recall their memory about English structure, and give the students additional time to ask to the teacher. However, students' view toward learning the test in classroom is different. Students with more proficient at English seem to have more supportive viewpoint, and they are more willing to study for the English proficiency test. It's because of their sportive previous knowledge in English, followed by their curiosity on the test, and they are able to show the value of proficiency test in evaluating their English ability. On the other hand, students with less proficient in English tend to develop negative attitudes and even resent to the test and experience greater stress. They tend to have less enjoy feeling joining the class, and of course, it will influence their scores of the test. Therefore, proficiency tests should not be taught formally in classroom, especially to drill the students with the test. Well, it's just a good to teach the proficiency test in class, but in order to be proficient in English for a long time, students need to learn meaningful knowledge, followed by using authentic language. They are way more effective.
Okay, the next impact of the standardized test of English in EFL classroom can be the inability to measure true progress. Standardized tests only evaluates one-time performance instead of students' progress and proficiency over the time. And many people argue that teacher and students' performance should be evaluated for growth over the course of the year instead of one single test, because this will make teacher focuses primarily on skills needed for the test and not the process of acquiring language skills or pedagogy employed to support this process. So to put it simply, it can be said that the proficiency test belongs to goal-oriented course, as the content is related to what to do in the test with the language once they have learned it, and how to successfully achieve the desirable scores rather than the process-oriented course which focuses on the process of acquiring language. And this will cause problems as teachers may focus on teaching the test preparation courses by following what are listed in the textbooks instead of approaching teaching and learning more holistically. And the other impact is that the less culturally responsive pedagogy. In a culturally responsive classroom, teachers create a culturally supported, learner-centered environment in which they identify and utilize the students' strengths to promote the students' achievement. And the teachers can utilize culturally and linguistically relevant materials, strategies, and also activities that can integrate the students' culture and the culture of the target language for the improvement of the students' learning. When the teachers use highly motivating, such culture-specific and real-world materials during the classes, and it means that they offer the EFL learner opportunities to make the test task to word connections, and it also can further support the lifelong learning. But this will be difficult to apply in the class which has to prepare for this standardized test, because the teacher focuses on the activities and strategies that can help the students pass the test or even help them to get higher scores on the test. So the English tests, such as IELTS and TOEFL, also focus on the language and situation that will likely happen in the target language. Thus, the teacher's focus may be familiarizing students with the English culture instead of integrating the students' own culture and the target language culture. I think that those are the impacts of the standardized tests, in this case is English proficiency test, that it has on the teaching and learning process in the EFL classroom. And we come to the conclusion. So to summarize, we'd like to say that proficiency tests are good learning research, but not the best option to be used in the teaching and learning process in the classroom, especially in the EFL context. And we also think that language ability can also be improved through series of learning activities, more than just learning about the tests. So I think that's the end of our class today, and thank you so much for joining our video. And we'll see you again in another occasion. Thank you.